listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender. Kelly Klaus is in the house, Divorce Transition Center. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. Checking out the celebrations today. I don't know about some of these. National System Administrator Appreciation Day. Yeah, that didn't excite me. You gotta love this one. National Talk in an Elevator Day.
This is ridiculous.
And National Get Gnarly Day.
You know better than that.
Buffalo Soldiers? I don't know. Buffalo Wild Wings, maybe. Water Park Day? Maybe, but I know where we're heading, and if you are a regular listener to Ron Siegel Radio, you will understand what I have in mind here, because having beaten anorexia, I saw this one today. It is National Milk Chocolate Day. Gotta love that one. We're going with the milk chocolate. We're ready for it. I'll be going to get some right after the broadcast. Dow Jones Industrial Average, pretty flat today. Down, it's up about 6.3. Oil up another 66 cents a barrel at, who cares about that one? Because Taxifornia, if the price goes down on oil, we still like to pay a little extra here in Taxifornia. U.S. 10-year Treasury, the bonds are up. Yield is down 2.294, which means that interest rates gone down a little bit this morning. Aren't you glad you don't have your safe and secure money in the Japanese 10-year bond? They're getting a whopping 0.079% on their bond. That makes our 2.294 look good. I don't know about that. I'm going to say that it's still not very good, but that is just one person's opinion, although it's my opinion, so I get to share it with you every single morning, Monday through Friday. Glad you're here with us watching. Also, GDP. Saw GDP went up. We're looking at the first reading, second quarter GDP, 2.6%. Damn! And my guys are a little slow this morning. I'm sorry. Up 2.6% GDP. Now think about that. Under the Obama years, we were pretty satisfied at 1-point-something%. We did note that the first quarter GDP revised lower to 1.2% from 1.4%. Consumer spending was where the strength is. Now, whenever you see consumer spending being the strength of our GDP, that means we're into long-term growth, because 70% of GDP comes from consumer spending. So when you see that number being a real strength or a strong part of it, that means, yeah, good things are happening in the economy. Don't tell that to the Democrats. They don't want you to know that there's anything good going on in the economy. They want to talk about Russia. We'll continue our conversation, and we'll see if we can find something else to talk about other than Russia. How about the hypocrite? I cannot get over these things. Hypocrite John McCain. How many years did he go through saying repeal and replace, repeal and replace? He voted for repeal and replace every single time when it didn't count. And now when it counts and we can finally get something done, he votes no. Unbelievable.
You're absolutely useless.
Yeah, absolutely useless. Unbelievable. Now, I know there's people that don't want to believe me. They don't believe the media. They don't believe the articles that I share. Why is John McCain doing this? Well, it's pretty simple. Number one, he was just reelected with the help of George Soros. But think about this concept. The man's 80 years old, not in the best of health, just got reelected to another 6-year term. Do you think he's going to be running again? I don't know. It's kind of hard to...
So I know whose ass to kick.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say as to whether he's going to continue running, but Think about this. When he got under the control of George Soros, you had to know that bad things were on the horizon. And now we see that his vote was the deciding vote last night, that no repeal and replace in the United States Senate. Unbelievable. And, you know, I didn't really like the idea of this bill that they came up with anyway. They called it a skinny bill. And you know me, those of you watching on Ron Siegel Radio, ronsiegelradio.tv, or on our Facebook live stream, when it comes to skinny, I'm out, because it just doesn't work in any area. Unbelievable. Then we saw the other loon, and I'm an equal opportunity loon basher, Rand Paul. Now, not too far off from his father, who was an obstructionist as well. Rand Paul stopping last night on a bill to deal with the defense spending. Now, how do you get away from the idea of not wanting a defense spending bill and call yourself a Republican? Now, I just don't get that, but that's, you know, Rand Paul, he's another one that, at least I don't know why it was, he finally decided to vote for some sort of repeal and replace when he couldn't get his way. And I think my kids even stopped the idea, if I don't get my way, I'm going to go home. Well, maybe if Rand Paul went home and stayed there, we might be decent, but he was the one last night, after this concept of repeal and replace fell, that he joined with Chuck Schumer rejecting the concept of this new defense spending bill in the United States Senate. You know, I think what Rand Paul might just be figuring out is that, you know, there's only a couple more days left until he gets to go on vacation again. And maybe that's the whole issue with him. But again, Rand Paul, once again, Rand Paul strikes. He is the obstructionist. Did you ever notice he calls himself a Republican, but more often than not he votes with the Democrats? Just him and Susan Collins, pair of them. I don't get it. Did you see a story there that fits my needs? I've been able to now justify, you know, I share with you all the time, I've beaten anorexia, but here are some issues most people aren't talking about that's going on at the gyms. How are they storing your personal information? You notice that the gym, yeah, I know, the gymnasium, the LA Fitnesses, 24-hour Fitnesses, places like that, they all want your credit card on file so they can just ding you every month even though you don't show up most of the time. But how are they storing your personal information? There are some questions about that now as to what's going on there. They're talking about another issue, juice jacking. I've heard, I don't know, juice jacking? Give me my milk chocolate, please. Be wary of charging your devices at the gym. Simply plugging your phone into the wall can make you vulnerable to juice jacking. It's a cyber attack where a charging port does double duty as a data connection that steals your user data or downloads malware to steal it at a later time. Be careful. Public Wi-Fi, another issue going on at the gym. Using the public Wi-Fi there, again, getting you into a less than secure environment. I think I'm just going to stay away from the gym. It just seems like it'll make a whole lot more sense to me. Give me some milk chocolate, please, or you might find me this weekend, as I am most weekends, down walking Balboa Island. I've got the walk down pat. I start off at Dad's Donuts, get a cup of coffee. I know you're saying, no, you're getting more than a cup of coffee, Ron, but yeah, get my cup of coffee there at Dad's Donuts, walk around the island, get a refill over at the market, end up at Starbucks, and you got it made. You call it exercise. You go from one place to another. When I was little, I used to walk to Baskin-Robbins. You know, these things just make sense to me, and that's probably why I am a connoisseur. I have got 15 mobile apps that can save you money. Number one is a Buffalo Wild Wings. Earn 100 points for signing up, filling out a profile every $10 spent. You get another 100 points. 300 points gets you a free lunch. Go to Chili's. They've got an app. Steak and Shake. I don't know where there is any of those. Moe's Southwest Grill. Chick-fil-A, Burger King, McDonald's, Whataburger, Outback Steakhouse. All these places have apps where you can get free stuff. Krispy Kreme and Panera, they round out the list. All these, there's 15 of them. I just shared it on our social media channels. 15 restaurant mobile apps that can save you money. See, it's got two of my favorite things. Food, obviously, and saving money. So if we can do both of those all at one time, you know, it's better than going, my wife says she goes to Nordstrom to save money. I don't understand that at all. But if I can go to McDonald's and get a free shake or an ice cream with my meal, I'll be there 3-4 times a day, maybe even 5. It's pretty simple. That's the way it works in my household. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, I've got a very simple question for you. It may not have a simple answer. What is more expensive, a catastrophic illness or divorce? Now, maybe if you're getting divorced, it might go to a catastrophic illness, but we'll talk about that. Inventory dropping again in real estate, how to get a reverse mortgage, retirement mistakes to avoid in your 20s and 30s. If you're retiring in your 20s and 30s, you've already avoided the mistakes, but we'll talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel, and if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel 1, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
What if your family business could help clothe a less fortunate family? Or your restaurant could feed truly hungry people? What if you could help to comfort the lonely? Plant sustainable resources where nothing has ever grown before? Or make a child's lifelong wish come true? What if all you had to do was simply do nothing more than what your business already does every day? Would you do it? Introducing Processing for a Cause, a unique program that turns a percentage of your business's credit card volume into ongoing donation dollars for nonprofit organizations and foundations. Simply switch your credit card processing provider to Processing for a Cause and begin supporting a worthy cause today. The process is simple, and the cause will change lives forever. Processing for a Cause.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, LS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. In the real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Real estate is dropping again. No, not the prices. We're seeing some issues there. Sales are slowing. Now, why are sales slowing in real estate when there are so many people out there looking for homes and you see multiple offers on homes? So why would sales be slowing? Well, the issue is listings. Home sales now at an annual pace of 5.52 million units. Inventory of existing home sales dropped to a 4.3 month supply, marking the 25th month in a row of declines. Median price of homes sold in June, $263,800. That is a national number. Probably in California, you might want to double in many communities, not all of them, but many of them. 64th consecutive month of year-over-year price gains. Demand's strong, prices go up. Supply is minimal. That's a big problem right there. So if you price it right at the start, you get your properties into bidding wars. That's what's happening right now because there's so many people out there wanting a property. The more people you can get seeing your property, and that's why you price it low. Don't try and stretch, because what's going to end up happening is if you stretch, you're going to get one person to make an offer and they're going to offer you less than what you have it listed for. If you price low, you're going to get many people making offers and they're going to be competing with each other. Price goes up, the request for repairs goes down, all of your expenses go down. You may end up with a cash buyer, or somebody may have the Gold Star Fast Pass, so you have no loan contingencies. We'll talk about that later in the broadcast. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment. Again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. One of the topics it's kind of a weird way of saying this. I really enjoy chatting about alternative divorce styles. Divorce is never a positive issue. I guess maybe it might end up in a positive way. But there are ways of doing it that make it less contentious, less, I don't know what the right words are. You figure it out. Read my mind. I don't know. It's a short story there. But the idea here is if we can get a way of divorce and not have it so contentious, might be better for our entire society, and especially the innocent parties in divorce, and that would be kids. And I enjoy having Kelly Klaus come in and speak with us, Divorce Transition Center. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you and I have chatted a few times. It's been a while since you've been in.
Yes, lots going on.
Absolutely. So the idea is, I've talked more and more about this idea of not going the litigated route. Is it still, is it gaining traction where people are not going as litigated as it used to be?
Well, unfortunately, they're still going that direction because it's the only thing known. And the more and more word of mouth with mediation and the advertising to let them know that there are options, the more aptly they'll be able to go.
Do you think people have to do they have to make a decision quicker instead of letting things fester until they're at a point where they just hate each other?
That can happen. It's rarely that a couple comes to the agreement to divorce at the same time. And when that happens, divorce can even be on your own. You may not even need mediation. You can do things on your own, which is the least expensive way.
You actually can do it on your own.
You can just file papers, and you have no assets, or you agree on assets in the child care. You can do this all on your own.
Wow.
However, the one thing people forget is one party of the divorce usually has figured this out a long time before it actually even gets known to the other party. So that person has already worked out his emotions or her emotions, financial alternatives, what they want, and how they're going. And all of a sudden that bomb gets dropped in the other person's lap and emotions flare. So it's very difficult to get that other person caught up to your plan, and therefore the emotions are what causes you not to go a more
so is there a way of, because it sounds from what you're saying, if I'm hearing right, that when you're going through the divorce process, it's almost like and I hate to compare them to, but almost like a death process. Sure. Right? Or somebody that's been diagnosed
absolutely. With the whole process of grieving is the same. You go through the shock, denial, grief, and acceptance, anger, everything. It's the same system, the same steps. However, you end up seeing that person in different light, and whereas when you grieve a spouse, that person is gone and you move on, whereas in a divorce, now you get to see that person happy with another person who's constantly making your life a living hell if possible, and then you might have children, as well as adult children are affected here.
So we kind of threw this out there on all of the social media channels this morning, the idea of cost. Right, and comparing it, you had shared with me catastrophic illness and divorce, same, similar pricing?
Absolutely, or if, depending on your situation, even more. So catastrophic illness is going to cost you a lot in the medical field, lost wages, maybe even a death of a spouse where that may cause you financial loss, but a divorce is ongoing. It completely not only splits your assets in half if you're lucky, but now you're giving a amount percentage to lawyers and multiple lawyers, court system, and then whatever you agree on as far as a child support or alimony is going to be with you for many, many years, if not forever.
Now, one of the things that I've heard, and I'll throw it to you, being that you're the expert and I'm just the reporter here, is if you go through the litigated version, judges are basically mandated to go to a very low bar, lowest common denominator, where you have a lot more options going through mediation or through, my mind went blank, when you get along.
Right, collaborative.
Yeah, there we go. I should write these things down, right? I only say them a million times, but when you go through the collaboration or through mediated, you can actually get a lot more accomplished than what a judge will do.
Well, a judge has numbers,
right,
and they don't have any emotion involved. They don't know history. They don't have the children's even welfare in mind. If you're going to, it's the adults who've got the rights,
right,
and everything gets split down the middle, and they take into consideration a few different assets, but they don't take into consideration that one spouse may have sacrifice to put the other one through medical school. It's all the snapshot right now as you speak. Because
you're looking at the judge, basically, you can't write a rule for putting a spouse through medical school when you're dealing with the state court that handles this, right?
Right.
So 30 million people in the state of California, you got to try and bring it down to a common denominator.
And if you think about it, a lot of what you have is subjective. So you might think that couch is worth $5,000, but to Goodwill, it's about $50.
Right.
And so a lot of your assets are subjective. You may value this particular car, but it really doesn't have that much when you come to the table about splitting. So a lot of it is subjective. When you go to mediation, you come with what your goals and objectives are. The other person comes with theirs, and a lot of times it could be worked out amicably.
Do you bring that all completed to the mediation, or do you still have things that you were looking to settle in mediation?
You're looking for things to settle. That's why you're there.
Okay.
And a lot of things that you don't even realize you need to settle. And a lot of things that you don't... A mediator also brings to the table creative ways of dividing things, to bridge. So you might say, I want A, B, and C, and the other person might say B and C, but then you creatively give ideas. You never take sides in a mediation. Your mediation is for both people, and what I like to say is I'm on the side of the kids, whether they're children or adolescent or adults, because they're affected. And so what your state of mind, your financial, and even physical well-being is involved in what's going to happen here at this table.
Now, does it have to go through an attorney then for all these things to happen?
It's a good idea to go through the attorney. It's not absolute, but it is a good idea to go through an attorney, because then you seal the deal. There's no part of contention.
Well, and that's one of the things that always concerns me, is because there's so much in the world, so to speak, that we can do anything with Google anymore, right? I mean, I was tongue-in-cheek saying yesterday that I actually looked up how to do, I need a knee replacement, so I looked up how to do it on Google, and I could probably do my own, right? The results probably wouldn't be very good.
Right,
but,
especially with the pain medication.
Exactly. Might hit the wrong knee. But the idea here is that, I mean, I'm sure there's good and bad information online, but how do you know which is right if you're not going through the professional?
Well, and you have to dot your I's and cross your T's, and anything can be brought up or changed. And that's kind of a secret that divorced people don't realize. they fight so hard and so long on what is the snapshot right now. And to be honest, a lot of that can change with our life transitions. Somebody may lose their job, and that whole thing goes right out the window. That person who lost the job can go back to court and change all kinds of support. The children grow up. They don't need the child support. So that document is a living document. It's not just a snapshot of what's happening now.
So you get to move. It is a moving target.
Exactly.
So it almost becomes an issue that it's like a double edge, right? If you've got that moving target, if you're going through a contentious divorce, the expenses are going to continue to rise.
Well, you want to punish the other person. And the person who was the last one to realize of the divorce still has to deal with these emotions. They're very volatile. So they're maybe punitive and don't realize that if I hurt you, I'm also in the mix here and kind of cutting my nose despite my face.
So that's interesting. So when we come back, I want to talk about that rebound back to court or back to a new document, that living document. So we're going to chat more with Kelly Klaus when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. We'll also chat about how do I get a reverse mortgage? Should I get a reverse mortgage is part of the question. Retirement mistakes to avoid in your 20s and 30s. Remember, you can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel, and don't forget, Ron Siegel 1, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Do you own real estate or have assets over $150,000? Do you know one of your heirs will be the probate courts and the IRS? If you don't have a living trust, you will go through probate. Call Heritage Financial Services toll free at 1-855-434-7400 for a free review. Check us out on Facebook, Heritage Financial Service in Lake Forest, California. That's 1-855-434-7400. Again, 1-855-434-7400.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Good morning, Robin. Glad to see you with us this morning. Gus, glad to see you with us. Lisa, glad you're back again this morning. Throw questions if you've got questions for our guest, Kelly Klaus, Divorce Transition Center. Throw them right there on the Facebook page. We will try to get to whatever we can. We're going to get on with the Mortgage Minute, though, today, brought to you by AskAboutReverseMortgages.com. Are you 62 years of age or older? Good question. Well, actually, maybe we'll just give you the whole story here. How do I get a reverse mortgage? That is our point of the Mortgage Minute today. Well, first off, you got to be 62 years of age or older, you or the eligible spouse. No delinquent federal debts. Own your home outright or have a bunch of equity. You don't have to own it outright. There is some mandatory counseling. You might hear the term home equity conversion mortgage. It's the same as a reverse mortgage. It's just a fancy name that the government wants to use. Your home must meet the FHA property guidelines. You've got to continue to pay your property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintain your property. Not going to be a whole lot there. What do you need to do to get started for the counseling? It's just a matter of getting with a mortgage lender who could put together some scenarios for you. They'll give you about 8 or 10 different options of counseling centers. You can generally do that online or on the phone. Probably take about an hour of your time. Generally, you're going to be looking at about a half of the equity of the property. So take a look and see if you've got a property. They don't go above $636,000, whatever your property's worth. That's the top number. Depending upon your age is what you're going to be getting in a reverse mortgage. It is nothing more than a loan. It is a lien against the property. Nobody is taking your property from you. That's a big misconception. That's a big myth of the reverse mortgage. So you look at that $636,000, you can generally get right around $325,000, again, more or less depending upon your age. Pay off the mortgage that you've got on the property if there is any, and you set up a line of credit. I only, very rarely, probably 95% of the time, I recommend you use the adjustable version, the adjustable rate reverse mortgage, just because it gives you a lot of benefits. It gives you a lot of protection of your equity of the property. And that's getting into the weeds, so we can talk about that offline. Your funds can be given to you in a lump sum, or they can be given to you monthly, depending upon what's needed there as well. Don't have to have great credit. Don't have to have a lot of income. Most of the time, your Social Security is more than enough to help you qualify for a reverse mortgage. You can make payments or don't make payments. That is optional with the reverse mortgage. And again, just take the money when you want it. If you don't want it, don't take it, but have it sitting there, because if you have a catastrophic illness, if you need the money, that way you can use it. You can protect yourself. It is a primary residence property. It's not for income purposes. Now, if you have a duplex, that might be a different issue. But for the most part, you're looking at it being your primary residence. You can't have that as your second home or investment property. That is the Mortgage Minute. Again, brought to you by AskAboutReverseMortgages.com. Give me a call. I'll give you all the information that you need to understand about it and put you in touch with the right people for the program. Continuing our conversation this morning, Kelly Klaus is with us, Divorce Transition Center. I don't know why I keep stumbling on the name of your company this morning. I
have to pick a new one, right?
I don't know. I don't think we've had that maybe it's just me on general this morning. It's Friday, and maybe it's almost 5 o'clock somewhere. We'll figure that out. But let's get back to our conversation. We are talking about divorce, but not the contentious style, or we're contrasting with contentious. Mediated and collaborative are the main topics here. And that's how we actually met, is through a collaborative attorney. So the thought here is, we talked about this before. I've had a couple of attorneys that have come on, and I guess in divorce, that's the one area that you can actually do your divorce yourself, but hire an attorney that doesn't represent anybody to do paperwork for you.
Yes.
I'm not sure it's still a good idea if they're not giving you guidance. What are your thoughts?
Well, an attorney will give you guidance.
Oh, so if they're doing just the paperwork part, they're still going to give you guidance?
They can. Just give you additional things to think about, creative ways of doing it, but they're not going to take sides. So if you have to pay 2 attorneys in a contentious divorce, they're going to say, go for this, go for this, go for this, because then it adds more time and more paperwork and, of course, more money in their pockets.
The billable hours issue, right? So the sooner we can get to more billable hours, the sooner they can get on the next cruise trip.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I mean,
They have your best interest in mind, but they don't have the whole package and best interest in mind. So they're looking at helping their client get the best deal, and if they can outwit the other attorney and get the best deal, then they win.
Sure.
However, the family as a whole loses.
Now, I'm a big believer, and I want to get your opinion on this, that in almost every divorce, the loser is really the kids.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
Who watches out for their benefit?
Well, unfortunately, not too many do. I mean, you're hoping the parents do, but unfortunately, they're so wrapped up in emotions and they get fueled by family and friends and attorneys and other community resources that they forget that sometimes. Sometimes
I watch them being used as a pawn. Is that a common thing where one parent just says, I'll give you a new iPhone, but because I want you to like me better than the other party.
Well, and more than that, they will attempt to take the child away from the other parent, the adult will, because that's punishing that other person. Maybe that other person hasn't moved on, has got a new life, so to speak, and they're going to go to court and kind of take the kids away. Well, that's not good for any of the parties involved.
So are the kids watched closer in a contended divorce than they would be in a mediated or a collaborative, where the courts are at least, do they look after the kids at all?
No, the court system has this cookie-cutter type of paperwork that they have to work with, and it doesn't matter. I mean, the children, obviously, if they're a certain age, can have more say, and they can bring them in to testify against certain things that the court might take into consideration. But for the most part, they don't have the rights. They're a part of the assets of the family, but
that's a tough way to look at it, right?
It's more
they're just an asset within the divorce or within the community.
It's all about numbers, and in any sort of court case, which of course we know they're all backed up, and that's what causes a lot of the time delay in getting a divorce, is that they will ask you, can you do this off calendar in a mediation center before you come back to take up the time here in the court. So they're going to actually ask you, have you tried mediation? Where do we stand here, so that they don't.
And
they're more efficient.
The court wants the mediation. Did they push for that?
The court absolutely would prefer you to be mediating outside of the court than inside.
Sure, it's less work for the judge.
Well, not only less work and less emotion, but they're so backlogged as it is, they just don't need your business.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense, and obviously, again, they've got a set of guidelines that are written for 30 million people, and your family's just one.
Right.
What about the idea of publicity? So is there a difference when you're looking at the publicity of one type of a divorce versus another type?
Well, unfortunately, a court-based is a public domain. So mediation is completely private, which is why you'll see movie stars and high-profile people always take the route of doing it off calendar, because they don't want the public domain to be available.
So once there's a sanctioning, or whatever the right terminology is, where the judge actually blesses it, however that term goes,
that's public record.
Even if it's mediated, when the judge stamps it?
No, because when it stamps it, when it's over, it's just generic information.
Okay.
But before that, everything else is private.
So then, if it's a mediated settlement, or whatever the proper terminology is, I'm just the lame guy, the individual here. I'm not the trained person, so I'm just.
That hasn't had to go through a divorce.
Hasn't gone through. Yeah, I'm 30 years into a life sentence, but the concept here is, like, if you're needing to deal with child support, right, and the court has to approve whatever the mediated agreement is, would that then make it public, or would it still stay private?
It depends. It depends on the court system. But they bring up a good point with having to do with the children. It's not just about a set amount of money. You're talking about whether that child has health care, and who pays for that? What about extended schooling? One parent may want a private education, whereas another one said, no, public is just fine. All these little details of the children need to be addressed. Okay. So it's a lot more involved than just, okay, you're getting this amount of money for child support.
Now, the other part of it is we started getting into this in the last segment, that you go through this whole process and you kick each other and bite each other and almost shoot each other.
It's the War of the Roses, if you saw that old school movie.
Exactly. And you think that you get to the finish line and now we're done, it's a year, 2 years down the road, we're finished.
Oh, no. Marriages come and go, but divorce is forever. And that's definitely a misconception of people who think, I'm just done with the arguing, I'm done with the negativity in this household, I want a divorce, I want to start over and have this happy life. And that's a complete misconception. Because if you couldn't agree before you got divorced, how are you going to agree after you get divorced when you're co-parenting?
Right.
When there's money involved, when you have co-assets. It doesn't get any better.
So it's almost to the point that, just get over as quick as you can, because it's really not final.
That's what, in reality, that piece of paper is living. And so whatever happens in your life, whether an illness, a loss of job, children age, get older, or there's issues with the children, even as adults, that piece of paper can be contested at any time. One of the parties can go back to court and have that reconsidered.
Wow. Well, I guess now that we have some foundation here, I guess we better figure out how we're going to do this a smarter way, the better, brighter way. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. The smarter way, maybe not have to deal with as much expense, maybe get on with it a little quicker, maybe enjoy life a little more. Maybe we don't have to spend as much time trying to battle one another as trying to get on with our own life. We'll think about that, and we'll chat about that with Kelly Klaus, Divorce Transition Center, when we come back. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Retirement mistakes to avoid in your 20s and 30s. We'll chat about that as well. Remember, you can reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams, simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area-trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Isn't it time you found out the truth about FHA-insured home equity conversion? No, it's not your grandfather's reverse mortgage. This just may be the finest financial planning strategy available for all homeowners of retirement age. Helping protect what you've earned is the job of your board of directors with continued education. Major research has shown that using a HECM will significantly enhance the success rate of a retiree's portfolio and legacy. Please allow us to educate. For your complimentary consultation, call Jay Kaplan at 949-300-3855. That's 949-300-3855.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRENMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990, the Word on Wealth segment today. Being brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. They are the only ones with the Fast Pass loan approval. Go out there, shop for a home, and you've already been approved by the underwriter. That's no pre-approval. That's no pre-qualification. It is a full approval, so you can check on the California Residential Purchase Agreement, Box J4. It says no loan contingency. Making your offer just about the same as cash is the idea there. Retirement mistakes to avoid in your 20s and 30s. Number one, not starting in getting a retirement plan in place. That's the biggest mistake. Start early. That gives you 40, 50, 60 years to plan, to save. I like the idea of using a Roth IRA in many instances. That way the money is growing tax-free. You put it in there after tax money. Think about that concept. If you have $100 and you're in a 30% tax bracket, you're going to pay $30 in taxes. Now, if you wait until you're taking it out and it's a deferred tax that's grown to $10,000, same 30% tax bracket, you're in a higher tax bracket if you live in Taxifornia anyway. But now you're paying $3,000 in taxes. In my opinion, I'd rather give the government $30,000 than $3,000. A lot of different options there. Number three, rating your retirement account. Don't do that. Cashing out the 401k, unless you've got a better place to put it in, talk to Al Manfrey, then you don't want to do that one either. And I had 4 items on our list, 4 mistakes on our list of mistakes to make to avoid for retirement. Kelly threw in another one. Go ahead, Kelly.
Don't get divorced.
Don't get divorced. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. That's the Word on Wealth segment. Again, brought to you by Gold Star Mortgage, the only one with that Fast Pass loan approval. So we're chatting about divorce, those that have made that decision to go down that road. And I like the idea of your comment here a little earlier, Kelly, that marriages come and go, divorce is forever. You get to keep on paying. I thought we'd stop paying at some point in time.
Sometimes, but not usually.
Yeah, that's when you die.
Always, well,
not the plan.
No.
So let's talk about this, though, the other option, because I mean, I think almost everybody in our society has an understanding, or think they have an understanding, or they definitely know somebody that's gone through a litigated, contentious divorce. So I think almost everybody thinks they know. You just call the attorneys and let the fighting begin, right? In this corner we have it, in that corner, and you get Howard Cosell in the middle if you're old enough like me to remember Howard Cosell, right? And you start just the fighting starts.
Right, and somebody gets hurt.
Somebody gets hurt, right? Everybody has, what's Mike Tyson?
Wins, somebody loses.
Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? That's the whole thing. So now when we talk about this concept of mediated or collaborative, what's the process there? How does one go about that? How do you get started?
Well, basically, instead of calling an attorney, you call a mediator. And
okay.
You can Google it or advertise and get or word of mouth. But you basically meet with them, tell them what your assets are, what your liabilities are, and what you're looking for. So it's completely custom to what your needs are. And you sit down. It may take 3 to 4 meetings. It could take 10 meetings, depending on what you have to discuss. But it is completely up to them. It's a custom-made plan.
Okay, so what would I be looking to bring or do prior to that meeting to prepare for that meeting? Assuming that we're not bringing machetes.
Hopefully that's the case, because the mediator will probably get hurt the most. You would just make a list.
Okay. So
make a list, brainstorm. Come to the meeting and say, this is what I think we have, this is what they I think they have, and this is tentatively what I think I deserve.
Okay.
And what I'd like in this amicable divorce. So that's a good starting point. And then we can talk about your A, B, and C. Here's my priorities, here's what I can do with or without, and here's what I don't care about. And then...
So that's a good idea, have those 3 columns, right? This is what I want, I don't want, and I don't care.
Correct. And so then this is what you're bargaining with, this is what you can trade, this is what... And to come out with a kind of a win-win situation as much as possible.
So instead of going there looking with the machete, you can go there with a nice bottle of wine, share that, and kind of get to a happy place.
Right, and hey, come at happy
3
hour.
bottles of wine, and you would have more happy place.
No, that would be. But it's about distribution of your assets and liabilities. It's about your retirement. It's about taxes. It's about the kids. And we brushed a little bit about all the details of the children. And maybe one spouse wasn't working or working, and what that future looks like.
Who's all involved in this? Because I know sometimes we've talked in the past a little bit about collaborative. In the mediated side, is it just you and the mediator? Or
at that point in time, it is just you and the mediator, and you're in those meetings. Now, a collaborative divorce also has the partner with the attorney, with a financial planner who will come in and actually help you with any more details with the financial aspects, with your investments, with going forward, some ideas of what they can do. So that's why there's this collaborative team that can come in and work with you.
Now, if you go through the marriage counseling, I'm kind of jumping around here as my mind just wanders. Thank goodness I've never been through all this stuff other than chatting with the professionals on it. But if you go through marriage counseling, will they help both parties get through that, the mental stages?
Well, the counseling part definitely focuses on trying to reconcile, or if you both come to the party and say, how do we co-parent or how do we coexist separately. That's why having a mediator as a licensed marriage and family therapist gives those the tools to keep the emotions in check so that it doesn't escalate, so that you don't take a 4-meeting plan into a 10-meeting plan because you can't even calm down enough to make any sort of decisions. So a therapist has some extra tools in order to keep those emotions in check, some coping skills, how to keep your
so if things start escalating,
down.
They've got a better way of, or they'll recognize that.
Right.
So as a therapist, you're going to see that and say, okay, something, we're getting off track here. Let's bring this back, or let's refill our wine glasses, or something along those lines.
We're not going to talk about your childhood during the mediation, but it's definitely understood that 2 people are completely different who couldn't get along in their marriage. Now, how are they going to get along in their divorce? And just to give some insight and support and coping skills.
Now, one of the things that I learned very late on in my journey through learning about collaborative and mediated divorce was the concept of what the ethics are of the professionals, right? And the fact that in many instances they're signing documentation saying that they won't switch to a litigated or represent anybody in a litigated transaction. Is that actually how that works?
Yes, of course, when you're signing a document, but that doesn't mean that those options are completely out. The couple can always change their mind.
The couple can, but what I'm referring to is the professionals.
Oh, right. No. Yeah, the professional is held by an ethical bound. It's legally, they can get away with it, but then that couple has grounds to sue or recoup.
They might get back together as a common enemy.
Right. So you just leave yourself more open.
And that to me sounded like a major issue when I first heard about collaborative divorce, I mean, do I really want to tell my attorney everything, or be really open in this whole process?
Oh, well, there's
if one of the attorneys may end up going and representing them. Right. If we go litigate,
Okay. I see where you're going. No, that definitely is some boundaries and some ethics involved there that, as a professional, we're bound to. Of course, the legal has a little bit more stretch. So,
right. So we can actually end up going and being more comfortable with laying it all out on the table when we go through the collaborative or mediated, knowing that what I say there is not going to be used against me.
Well, and here's the benefit of today's interactions is with social media. You're going to know that. You're going to know instantly whether this person has got scruples or has backs, behind somebody's back and broken their trust. So that doesn't go very far these days.
Yeah, you're going to be out of the professional is going to be out of business pretty quick.
Right, because word of mouth is everything.
We're certainly learning that in a lot of areas of our society nowadays, aren't we?
Right.
Great information. If you want more information about this, hopefully you're not going down the divorce path, but we know 70% of first-time marriages in Orange County are going to end up there, so be careful. But if you want more information on it, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I'd be happy to put you in touch with Kelly Klaus Divorce Transition Center. Explore, understand what this is about, what your options are. Maybe you might even find out that you can't afford a divorce and you want to stay together.
And that's happened.
I'm sure it has. And as I say every day, be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John, who's engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Call him something, I think I'll just call it a day. Pour me something tall and strong, make it a hurricane before I go insane. It's only 12:30, but I don't care. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I want a drink. It's 5 o'clock. Talk to you next week.